Hello, everyone. I just would like to start off with saying I think my camera is kind of weird looking. I really can't tell. I think it's clear for the most part, and my sound. So, hopefully, you can understand everything that I'm saying and can see me clearly. It looks pretty clear for the most part, and hopefully, you can understand it, which I'm sure you'll be able to. So I want to start off by saying that, apologizing in advance um, if there are any problems. But I will be discussing how I came up with my decision regarding the case between Jessica and Janet. Jessica being the plaintiff, Janet being the defendant. Um, and I do rule in favor of the plaintiff. Just not only by the facts that I'm going to discuss, but also from personal experience. It's very difficult to deal with knowing that your personal information has been released without your authorization. That is the purpose of signing paperwork. That is the purpose of contracts. And the thing is, it's not only in the healthcare system. It's everywhere. Any place that deals with personal information, your name, your social security number, your phone number. It's personal, it's confidential, it's something that should not be released without your permission. And I did listen to the defendant's side, and granted, they had things to back it up. I just don't feel that it was right in any way. It's because our law was broken, and it was the HIPAA law. First off, secondly, I would like to talk about what HIPAA stands for. It's just basically the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. And with that being said, the description of that is protected health information that encompasses the detailed that encompasses the details a provider collects regarding the patient's condition, treatment, or payment that identify or have the potential to identify the patient. Anything that is traced back to a patient in any way, or a client or a customer, it's personal. This is your personal, life that we're talking about here. So it's serious. It's very serious, and I can understand the plaintiff for being upset. It also talks about within this HIPAA Act that caution and ease of application leads to many. Caution and ease of application leads many to assume that any part of a patient's health record, including payment history, is likely to be considered PHI, which is basically another example of protected health information. This information should be protected. Patients and clients, but we're specifically talking about patients here, they come into a healthcare facility with the understanding that they are going to be protected. Their information is going to be protected. If there is any possibility that this information needs to go outside of this facility, the patient should have the right to sign authorization for that to take place. I mean, that's only right. But that was just an example. That includes numerous policies, guidelines, regulations, and laws that limit access to what has become known as a patient's protected health information. So everything goes back to the patient's right. The patient's right to release their information. It also talks about that, an authorization must be written in specific terms. It may allow use and disclosure of protected health information by the covered entity seeking the authorization or by a third party. Examples of disclosures that will require an individual's authorizations include disclosures to a life insurer for coverage purposes, disclosures to an employer of the results of pre-employment physical or lab test, or disclosures to a pharmaceutical firm for their own marketing purposes. For an example, there is a form that I work in the healthcare field, and when I work in the emergency room, I have to get the patients to self-pay patients specifically to sign a form that's basically giving us permission to release their medical information for pharmaceutical purposes. Just meaning that there's a possibility that the hospital may write off um, any cost of the medication since they were a self-pay, or this is stuff that can be released um, to the pharmaceutical companies, definitely for marketing, but it's also to help the patient. It's also to help the self-pay patient. I'm sorry, my dog keeps getting into things. But honestly, we have to explain to them that you are giving us permission to release your medical information to pharmaceutical companies. It doesn't say what company, but to pharmaceutical companies. You have to give us permission to do that. Now, whatever the purpose is for, that also has to be explained. But in that case, it is explained to them, and it is the truth. But it is explained to them in a way to let them know, your information is going to be released, but it's for this purpose. You know, um, anything that you go to do that regards the releasing of someone's information and it's personal, they should have the right to, they have the right to give authorization to release that information. Bottom line. Privacy. It refers to an individual's expectations to keep or control access to his or her individual space as well as knowledge of certain information. It goes back to her privacy. Um, how is it privacy if you don't have control? If you don't have control, how is it privacy? It's not privacy. You've basically been admitted or you've been treated, and you're under the impression that the whole time you have control of where your information is going to go or where it's not going to go. It's kind of a scary situation, which is why people feel the way they feel when it comes to healthcare, period. A lot of people just don't feel that it's safe. And that's why. Because laws like that are broken, and a lot of times nothing can be done about it, unfortunately. Confidentiality, it refers to the ethical and legal obligations to refrain from sharing information about other people without their authorization. So once again, it's her rights were violated as a patient, with privacy, the HIPAA law, confidentiality, authorization. She didn't give a written authorization, and that's why I came up with my decision. I hope that all of you could understand why I came up with this decision and that my facts were legible. So thank you for your time, and you all have a great day.